which is crazy to think about that Warped Tour is still not a thing, because that was such a huge part of my life growing up. Like going to Warped Tour, it was the only thing you would look forward to in the summer. I think ending it at the time it did made sense because the scene was just dead. But I think now they could probably put a little less bands, and they could probably add like SoundCloudy rap or something on the side. Definitely if you include some like hardcore bands, I think everybody would be on board if it's Warped Tour, because it is such a huge thing that you'd have to be an idiot to not. And imagine, you know, the friends that you would make on that tour, you're touring with every fucking band. Like that sounds like a fucking ball to me. I think it's time, but I feel bad for kids growing up in this music scene that don't have Warped Tour, because it was such an integral part of like my summer.
Real quick before we start, I just wanted to mention that we do these podcast recordings live on Twitch. It's kind of a cool way for you guys to be a part of the conversation, as well as, you know, see the behind the scenes and the uncut versions of these episodes. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribing, leaving a comment, liking the video, all that stuff goes a long way. Same goes for leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We have a striving community on Discord if you want to chat with other like-minded deathcore enjoyers, as well as just staying up to date with everything that's going on with the podcast. Last but not least, if you want to support the podcast, I'll be leaving a link down in the description wherever you are watching or listening on how you can do so, as well as links to everything else that I just talked about. With that out of the way, enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Brutality Podcast. My name is Dom. I am joined as always by my co-host Yan, and this week we have the privilege of talking to Salem Vex, of a man of many projects that we will get into. We're particularly excited for our Crucifiction, but I also love the Requiem for the record. Salem, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm doing all right.
Hell yeah. I'm really excited to talk to you, I guess specifically in this time frame. There's you know, you've got a lot going on, but you know, with the release of Crucifiction, you know, as a whole, you know, with the two singles that you guys have put out so far, I think it'll be interesting to kind of talk to you now about, you know, the start of the band and you know, all that. But you recently got back from touring, right?
Yeah.
You were doing kind of like two stints back to back.
Yeah, I filled in for a band called The Haunt, and I did the majority of Europe, and then immediately came back home and then finished some US with Destroy Rebuild, like Drugs with the Requiem.
How was it with Drugs? How were they? Because they're kind of coming back. I mean, they've been back for a couple years now, but it's cool. It's cool to see them doing some music again. How was that last stretch?
It was sick. They were super fucking nice. I was actually like really sad at the end of the tour because it's like, you know, the last 5 days of tour, everybody's already clicked up and knows everybody. And I kind of came in. I used to keep on saying I was fashionably late because I was literally like the last like fucking week. But everybody was so fucking nice, and they are awesome live. And all the bands were super sweet. So it was a good time, and I love playing with the Requiem. So it was nice it was like a nice send off of the summer of like, okay, now I get to go to my bed.
Because you play guitar in the Requiem, right?
I play bass in the Requiem.
Okay. Yeah. So you were filling in on bass too for the Euro tour, right?
Yeah.
And those are that's like a brother sister band. Those are people from Florida as well. What's the deal with The Haunt?
So yeah, they I don't even know exactly how I got clicked up with them. I filled in for them once. They had like a different bassist, and she went to see Stevie Nicks, and they're like, "Can you like play a show?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but they were just like, you know, like, "Hey, do you want to do Europe?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So that was basically it.
That's cool. I mean, those are like cool opportunities, right? They kind of come out of nowhere, but I'm sure, you know, how was it doing the shows with them and just traveling Europe? I saw you were doing a lot of vegan burger spots. Vegan burger spots.
That was, I mean, the majority of the trip was like trying to find food a lot of the times. But yeah, it was good. It was like crazy though. It was just my first time in Europe, so definitely just like super different culture. Everybody's speaking different language. And it's like
every day, right? You can't get used to something.
Yeah, there's no like getting used to things. But I had a good time. It was hard, but it was fun.
How, I'm just curious, I mean, kind of inside baseball, but I'm curious, like, were you guys renting a backline and all that stuff? Like, did you guys bring gear over? What was that like?
We brought like a lot of gear. I mean, in general, I usually just use the Helix, and just go to front of house. They rented a lot of stuff though. But I wasn't really on the tech backline. I know they rented like just they rented me a cab, but I didn't have a power amp. So it was just sitting on stage. So that was kind of funny, but their cabs were fun.
The fake amp, but it was an actual amp.
Yeah. But
none of the advantages of having the hollow, the hollow amp.
I think we landed in Italy and then they rented gear from Switzerland and had to go all the way up there, get the gear and bring it back. It was this whole thing, but yeah, it worked.
There we go. I'd love to, because I was kind of digging into some of your past and other stuff that you've done, and I know you've talked pretty extensively on other podcasts and stuff about your upbringing and all that stuff. But maybe I think it would still be cool to get just maybe a summary, because I think a lot of your upbringing kind of ties into a lot of the stuff that you're doing today, and even some of the projects that you've done prior. So would you mind just kind of telling us a little bit about your upbringing, I guess, and maybe how you fell into music, but art in general? Because I know you do, you're more than just a musician. So I'd love for you to maybe speak on that if you could.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Broward County, South Florida. And growing up, I actually went to a Christian school until I was in 5th grade. So I guess that ties into, why I'm not really that religious anymore, at all. But, then when I left that, I went to this, there's a skate park there called Ramp 48 that I used to go to because I really like skateboarding. And then from there, there's this place called Rocketown, and they had 2 locations, one in Nashville and one in South Florida, in Pompano. And I would go to Rocketown, and I basically fell into going to shows because I already liked the music from my sister. My sister liked Warped Tour music. She loved like All Time Low and all those types of bands. She kind of liked some of the heavier bands, but I fell into it from MySpace. I had a MySpace. I'm that old. Just listening to, I think the first bands were like I Set My Friends on Fire, The Devil Wears Prada, Bring Me the Horizon. And then, I remember the big 2 was Chelsea Grin's first EP I heard, and Asking Alexandria's Stand Up and Scream. And that was like, holy fuck.
That's like the duality of the scene kid, right?
Yeah.
Those 2 types of albums.
Yeah. But it was weird because I was into all the skateboarding stuff too. I was into like Block Party and Interpol and all like the indie stuff, the Strokes, because it's just nice to skate to. Even some like rap and stuff, like a lot of 3 6 Mafia. But I was just really into music. And then going to that skate park, Rocketown, they did shows. And then, I think the first show I went to, or one of the first shows I went to, one of the biggest, I guess, first shows with this fest called Bringing It Back for the Kids Fest was in 2011. And I saw like Terror and like Evergreen Terrace and a bunch of like hardcore bands. And then before that, I went to, like Warped Tours and stuff, but that was like the first like show I went to. And I was like,
right,
fuck.
Something more DIY or like kind of more, local.
It was, at an actual venue. It sounded good. I'm not saying Warped Tour sounded like worse, but
outdoor festivals are different. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a different vibe, but it was like the first thing that I went to and I was like, oh wait, like this is sick. Like, and I was taking photos back then, but then I kind of just like, I still like skateboarding. I don't really do it as much. I'm always going to be a skateboarder at heart, I guess, but, I liked the stage more than skating, and it just felt more creative and expressive. And that's why I kind of switched over into the music scene. So like a lot of people that know me from like when I was a kid, they knew me as like the skate kid because I would come to shows with like a skateboard and shit. But yeah, that's the majority of my upbringing.
You miss it sometimes though, because I did skateboard for like 6 years and stuff like that. It's one of those things that's kind of always there. Like I'm sure, I bet you're still interested, right? Like when you see skate videos and stuff like that, like it's still part of your interest, right? Probably.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I feel like if you're a skateboarder, you just view the world as a skateboarder. Like I still see like staircases, yeah, like, or I'll just see like I'll be like on tour and we'll like play at a venue and like there's a staircase and I'm like, dude, that would have been sick if I would have skated that. But like the problem, I guess, is I'm older now and like I fucked my shit up from skateboarding. Like I broke my knee, my elbow, like fingers, like, and I kind of just realized like, okay, I can't really do this and also play guitar at the same time, but I'll just skate around sometimes, like skate flat. But yeah, it's always in me. And also like one of my best friends at the time is now pro. He's super big. He's on like Death Wish. His name is Jamie Foy.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, I grew up with that guy. If there's this is a weird lore story, but we actually, there's, you know, the show Ridiculousness, like the MTV show that's just annoyingly playing all the time on MTV. I have a clip on that of Jamie where he like busted his ass and they like, I think they paid me like $100 when I was like 14. And it's the episode with Ryan Dunn from like Jackass.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
And it's like super, super weird lore. But yeah, I always think about skating, even though I don't skate, but I don't think I'll like start skating again.
No, I'm kind of in the same position now. It's just because, you know, there's a difference between like doing a big set of stairs when you're a kid and doing a set of stairs when you're in your 30s. Like right now, it's just like I wouldn't do that. But back then it was everything. But
I wouldn't even look at I wouldn't even roll up before, you know, now it's like, you know, maybe I could fall like this. Maybe this could happen.
I was obsessed with drops. You know, when it's not stairs, it's just like a big drop, like just high and you drop. That was my thing, but you would bail like crazy on these things. But no, like I understand because it's part of you. Like I don't know if you watch the 9 Club and everything, but like it's just like you're still interested by all those. It never leaves, but it's just like one of those things where with music, in most cases, you're not expecting to break your leg as you're so. I feel like skate culture and music culture are very intertwined too. Like they're kind of cut from the same cloth. It's funny. It's like the two choices I had when I was a kid was just like be a piece of shit or like be a piece of shit. It's like like be a musician or a skateboarder. So I went with musician though.
But you know, you say that, and that's kind of what I thought was interesting. I guess, you know, part of what's interesting about the upbringing, because you know, you look at a lot of, I don't know, you look at like a playthrough you've put out, and it's like filmed with the fisheye lens. You know, like there's like these things, you know, that you can very easily tie back to that sort of stuff. So I always find it interesting to kind of look back on, you know, I guess teenage years and early adulthood. And even though you're not necessarily doing these things anymore, it still kind of seeps into, you know, the rest of your life and the rest of the stuff you do. So
no, 100%. That's actually like a funny thing that you bring up. Cause yeah, the fisheye is like so ingrained in my life. Like the fisheye lens to me is just like, it's like I could talk about it forever because it's like the most, because I used to also film skateboarding. That was like I wasn't good enough. Like I was sponsored, but I knew like my friends, like I was friends with Jamie, who's fucking pro now. So like when you're friends with someone that good, it's like, you know, I would film him more.
Foot in the door,
yeah, but yeah, like photography and skateboarding and like filming, I guess like videography was huge. And I was fucking 12 years old. You know, and I knew fucking Sony Vegas because I had a Windows at the time and like editing videos and all this shit. And it's funny because like that set me up for even what I do now, like editing photos of myself and editing playthroughs and videos and music videos. It all set me up for now. And yeah, skating in general, like I like a lot of this shit that I guess was intertwined with skateboarding. But skateboarding and music, yeah, I mean, Vans Warped Tour had a fucking skate ramp, and then it just makes sense.
And it's a creative, like skateboarding isn't like, as much as you can consider that as a sport, anybody who really did skateboard knows that it's not, it's one of those things you cannot really say, this is my favorite trick, because it depends on too many things, depends on where it's done, how it is and everything. And the creativity during a skate part, to me, where it links the most is making a skate part is kind of like creating music, which means that it's not like a logical point A, point B. It's like, it's all in the way you do it, the creativity behind it's to see outside of the box, and maybe I can mix that and that. Like all my favorite skate parts were almost always the weirdest ones, with like he skates on the freaking, nature or something weird or whatever. Yeah. So to me, that's kind of the big bridge of like, it's a creative, it's not like a sport with like rules and everything. You can skate the way you want. And in music, you can, you're a vocalist, you can do your vocals exactly like you want. And no one's going to be, logically, no one could tell you like, oh, you didn't do it properly.
They'll fucking tell me. I could promise you that. My fucking comments, dude. They'll tell me everything they want.
They will, and unfortunately, that's kind of part of we keep having those conversations that in metal, for some reason, for some people, there's like rules, and it's
the places where it's all the outcasts and it's all the people that you would, you'd figure everyone's there because you want to break free from the stereotypes. That's somehow some of the worst spaces sometimes for churchmen.
It's wild. I have a question though, because before you came in, we were talking about Infinite Debt and those crazy high-pitched vocals, and you've been compared to those high-pitched vocals in a good way, by the way. Like we all love those vocals, but did you hear that a lot? Like that specific comparison? I'm just curious.
I mean, I've heard it recently, and like I said, it is the biggest compliment to me, because I think Brendan Ryan is the best vocalist in deathcore. I don't even think there's like a comparison. And anybody that shits on him is just an idiot, because that record is fucking amazing. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not technically a vocalist. Like, I guess kind of like within my first band, I was the guitarist and then eventually became the vocalist and played like a couple shows. And then there was another vocalist. But I kind of learned how to do vocals on that Bloodbather release after we kicked out the old guy. And my biggest influence in deathcore is Brendan Ryan. I think his vocals are the best. I don't think there's anybody that fucking compares to him. I think Mitch is very close, but just the high shriek fucking feeling. It's like, I don't even know how to explain what it was. Like
it hurts.
It does hurt. I can tell you that fucking hurts. But yeah, no, that is the best comparison. Anytime anybody does that comparison, I'm like, thank you. You understand, because even you could see it with Bloodbather too. Like when we had Kyler as a vocalist, I was trying to push him to sound like Brendan Ryan too, because we were trying to do the more deathcore thing. And before that, when
progressively went more and more towards that kind of space.
Well, here's a funny story. The first EP that Bloodbather put out, Justified Murder. I remember I was in the car playing the cassette with Jeff, and he was talking about like the future of Bloodbather. And I'm like, I only have like 2 more metalcore albums in me. I just want to make Chelsea Grin deathcore. Like, and people knew that from the get, because like I like, the metalcore and hardcore stuff, but it's like, dude, it's been done to shit. There's no panic chords left. There's no fucking all the riffs are fucking gone. I mean, you can kind of say the same thing about deathcore, but I feel like it is a little bit more open to creativity. And I also feel like definitely at that time, nobody gave a fuck about it. Everybody hated deathcore. That was actually the biggest insult that Bloodbather would get, like in 2016, 2017, when we're playing hardcore bands. People were like, you're just like a fucking deathcore band. You know what I mean? Because we had bass drops in 2017 in a metalcore band. But I always thought it was funny because I thought deathcore was sick. And now everybody thinks deathcore is sick, and it's funny as fuck.
Yeah, now it's cool. And back then, you would get shit on just because you're considered deathcore, like, oh, you're a deathcore band, so dismissed.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, because deathcore at that time was fucking god awful, but like the OG deathcore shit, like I don't even get to this day how like people were calling like Suicide Silence gay. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't, you listen to The Cleansing and it's like that, you don't think that's sick? That's crazy as fuck.
Dude, I'll be real with you. I still listen to that, EP. I don't know if you see behind me, like sorry. here. And I still think it's awesome, but I feel, you know, it's one of those things like you would be considered deathcore, and it's not even like a fair critic. It's just like, oh, you're deathcore, so it sucks.
Yeah.
Therefore it's terrible, you know?
Yeah. But
it's a trip today that it's cool. I'm just like, wow, okay.
It'll be not cool soon. And then all the fucking weird, like new Jackie fake deathcore kids. It's weird even saying that because deathcore was like not cool, but it'll go away and come back. It's just music in general. But I'm kind of glad that what Bloodbather was is kind of taking a break, because I could not take another fucking Panicord band. I just can't fucking, my brain is broken from it.
Let's kind of talk about, though, kind of like if you look back at the time that Bloodbather came out, it was different then than it is now, right? Like, I think we've seen a massive resurgence in, like, because we're talking about deathcore, you know, there's been like the revival, you know, like other bands doing a similar style as you're doing as well. And in deathcore, right, there's a ton of new bands doing that sort of thing. But metalcore also went through that. But like that was after you guys came out with Bloodbather. So what was kind of, I'd be curious what the initial, like there were no panic chords being played in 2015, 2016, basically anymore. Right. So at that time, it must have still been a little bit more novel than it is, let's say today, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there was some bands, definitely local bands that I can like shout out. Like there was this band called Blistered. There's a band called Axis that were like kind of on that turn. Bloodbather came out around the same time. Code Orange obviously started the My World thing, where it was just like, okay, but our biggest influence,
that's like South Florida specific, right? Like it's like, because you guys, and it's the same thing with deathcore. Florida's like ahead of the curve by like a year or two with like all this revival stuff from what I'm seeing. Oh
no, we're the shit. But yeah, no, fucking, I would say that those bands influenced me a little bit, because I was doing, I'm not even gonna say the name of the band, but I was doing a band that sounded like Sworn In at the time. And I wanted to do just something fun, and also another band that I was in that I could tour with, so we could tour and make enough of a guarantee. Jeff was my best friend. We both were like kind of outcasty, like, because Jeff also just likes all the music ever. And I'm also just, I would go to all the shows, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, we just wanted to do something for fun. But at the time it was like, we were both really into like On Broken Wings, Martyr AD, Disembodied, bands like that. And it was in my own, like, I still liked the scene shit. You know what I mean? I still liked fucking I Set My Friends on Fire. I still liked Attack Attack's like first fucking album. And, you know, you could say that, you know, Bloodbather is like this fucking crazy, like the Pressure EP is just so ass beater, this, that, and the other. I'm like, bro, I stole like Asking Alexandria breakdowns. I stole like fucking Ism Foff parts. Like it's definitely like still in there, but I also knew at the time like what I guess was gonna pop off. So I kind of also threw in the stuff that I liked, that I knew people were like, it's On Broken Wings, like you're gonna fuck with that like gangster fucking breakdown part, blah blah blah. So, but that was like the main inspirations for that at the time.
Right. And then what was it going into, because you guys put out two EPs after that one, if I'm correct?
Yeah, so it was Justified Murder, which was like 3 songs, and then it was Pressure, which was like 6 songs and an interlude, 7 songs, and then it was Silence, and then the 2 singles that we put out, and that was it.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then how, because as I was kind of mentioning earlier, like you guys kind of progressively went a little bit more heavy, I guess, or more, especially, I mean, with the last single, like the vocals are very much more a deathcore kind of vibe, you know, even the artwork that you guys came out for the last song, right? Like
shouts out Alex Ortman.
Hell yeah. Like it was very much more like deathcore, like oriented. That was just kind of like the progression that you kind of saw from the get-go, that's where it would kind of lead to.
Yeah, I knew it was going to fucking happen. Like, I don't think Jeff thought I was serious, but I was like, dude, like, I think deathcore is fucking sick. Like, I don't know. I think it's just what you gravitate to when you're a kid, what you think is cool when you're a kid. And yeah, like I vividly remember fucking hearing Lifeless for the first time and like watching their stage presence. And I was like, dude, stomping is sick. Shrieking deathcore vocals are sick. Inhales are fucking sick. And I did all that fucking shit on As You Die. And I don't know, like it wasn't like I was scared to do like the deathcore vocalist thing, but I was just like, I don't know if I like want to, but I'm glad I did. Cause yeah, I've been having fun with it. Obviously I do have I guess a different approach, not really vocally, but I guess like look wise to, I guess the majority of the scene, which I guess kind of sets it apart. But I feel like the music is pretty, you could tell exactly where everything is coming from, which I think is cool.
Well, that's very cool to hear because, well, first of all, when I heard, when Dom showed me and he's like, dude, you would like that band because he knows I'm, you know, my whole life, right? It's like the Chelsea Gun EP, and I'm not kidding, in my apartment is displayed at 2 places. It's like, it's right here and it's in giant, like...
Just in case he forgets.
It's like, it's everywhere because it redefined everything I want to do in music and what I like in music. I still think it holds up right now, for the record. I still think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I was a big fan of Alex Kohler's Inhales on this one because he switched after, as much as Dissolution of Veneno was cool, but like he switched to Exhales, and personally I preferred his Inhales. So like
Inhales are fucking sick.
It was so sick, you know, because he would pronounce, right? So like in Chinese, I don't know how to pronounce the name of this song, by the way. Chinese
Soaks, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. It's difficult to say when you're French, at least for me. But yeah, so, you know, when the big breakdown hits and you can hear what he's saying, you know, and it was so sick. So I was chasing that. But yeah, when I heard your song, first instinct was like, oh my God, like it reminds me of, you know, Brendan, which never happens because he has a specific, you know, very specific, like it feels like it hurts, and he's like, it's almost like I could picture him bleeding here. Like that's how much it feels like it's hurting, and you're achieving that, which is quite awesome. But I think you said it kind of hurt. Does it though?
Does like, was not fucking feel good. It fucking sucks. I mean, it's like also weird because I feel like a lot of people learn vocals like really young, and I kind of knew how to do like the Of Mice and Men type of Fry stuff. Like I learned a little bit from like that As You Die. That was like my first, I guess, attempt. Wasn't a bad attempt, but for the full length, which is Crucifixion, I had like, I guess a month or two to really like figure out how to do it. But I feel like now I can do it and it doesn't feel as bad. But when I was first doing the record, I was like, I'm glad that this sounds sick, but like this is gonna be like, if this is how recording is, I need a fucking 3 weeks to do this every single time because holy shit, like some of those vocals are very, I mean, it is what it is. You're screaming as loud as you fucking can. It's not like, there's not much of a technique. I feel like I've learned how to quiet it down a bit. So now it's a little bit easier, but Amputated Satisfaction is the best example of like the prime. I remember I was literally like, you can ask Brandon, it was funny because I recorded the whole record in my closet right there. I like made a little closet booth and I was complaining to Brandon. I was like, dude, I'm so fucking tired of clicking the button, running into my closet, fucking doing the line and running back. Like I can't do it. Can you just like help me? Like, can you just any desk into my computer and then just click the recording? That's what he ended up doing. I was gassed. Like gassed every time I would do a fucking line. It was like a lot of air, a lot of pressure, but I like how it sounds. But live, I definitely have to figure out a little bit of a different situation for sure.
So then what was kind of like I'm curious, I guess the between of the two bands, right? Because like you do vocals on that last track. Did that set you up for Crucifixion? Did you guys know that was a final track? Like then I guess why the change? Like I'm curious about how that whole thing transpired. So
the Crucifixion album was supposed to be a Bloodbather album, but it just didn't work out like that. Like we were gonna do the 2 vocalist thing, but it didn't pan out. Like it didn't work. Jeff is doing Fallen God, which is, in my opinion, fits him way more. And it's sick as fuck. Nick's in that band too, which is sick as fuck. Cause Nick was also in, and I guess maybe Alex, my drummer, I don't know. There's so many like fill-ins in Fallen God that I can't tell, but I think he might be also playing drums in Fallen God. But yeah, no, it just kind of didn't pan out. Like it just wasn't really working. And then I ended up just doing, like the full role instead.
So then when you kind of like, I guess like rebooted the band, like is it all you basically? Or do you have like, what happens then live? What's been the situation so far, I guess, with the record?
So the record, there is another voice on the record. It's Damien, who actually plays in the Requiem. He's the vocalist of the Requiem, and he plays bass and sings. I honestly, like at the time, like I said, I was still learning vocals. One of my biggest, I guess, regrets of the album was I was scared of only doing inhales as the low parts, which I wish now I would have just let them shine, because I did a lot of highs with the inhales. There's not really many parts that are alone, but I've always loved Damien's fucking vocals. And I was like, dude, that'd be fucking crazy if, like, you know, you just back me up on little parts here and there. And he was like down and plays bass. For the videos, it's technically just the Requiem and everybody's just in a fucking mask.
Okay.
But I don't know exactly what the full lineup is going to be. Like, that was kind of the whole point, was to keep it very like, because I've been in a lot of bands that have like revolving door members, and I'm just so fucking tired of it. Like, if you don't really contribute into the band, this is not a diss to anybody, but I'm just not going to put you in the promos or anything. And it's like, if you put in the fucking work, you'll be in the fucking promo. So hopefully when the record comes out, I can find someone that's sick as fuck. I definitely want someone to kind of like be a full member with guitar. But I'm also trying to find someone that can like really nail exactly what I'm doing in, I guess, the era too. But like, how many people can play like fucking Infinite Death? Not many people, definitely not now. So it's a work in progress, I guess.
Specific thing too, in terms of like playing. I was listening to it like this week, and I was, paying more attention to the riffs, and they're honestly like kind of crazy.
It's super choppy, like it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah,
and they go like like it's super sick, but it's one of those things like when since deathcore really changed, I guess, like it also changed the way that people are perceiving it and playing it. So it's kind of an extra challenge to find this like old school kind of play specifically. But I think you're making the right decision to, wait and instead of announcing like 50 times that you have a guitar player in the band and people are just like, okay. And at some point, I feel like you're kind of, like, personally, I connect more to a band where it's just like, it's them. Okay, cool. Sometimes things can happen. You change like one member, but I think we all saw some bands that it's just like every 2 months, like it's a complete different lineup. You're like, okay, it's not the same people anymore. I don't know. Yeah. You're kind of.
No, I agree. I mean, and I don't like how, like, when you Google Bloodbather, every promo is different. And like everything is just so fucking, it's just a mess. And I'm just like, I do not want a repeat of that. Like, it's just not what I'm into.
For what it's worth though, like you have like, I don't know how to say this. Like you have like this. I'll say the word. I'll say the aura. you have but you've got the look. You've got like something that's like cool to present as like a focal point of a band, right? Because I think a lot of other people would be in your scenario and it would look way less cool as like a solo kind of member, like presenting a band and stuff. Like you've got like your image. You've got like you've got a vision for the whole thing, and like you make it work really well, with just yourself, right? So,
well, I feel like that's the main, I guess, like my one, qualm with deathcore. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a fucking dick, but like everybody looks like shit, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think image matters a lot when it comes to music. I mean, I'm very inspired by a lot of people that are, super artistic and expressive with how they look. I mean, obviously, like Marilyn Manson's like one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to stuff like that. David Bowie, a bunch of other people like that. But it's like in deathcore, I feel like there's not really that many people that have like tried to even look. I mean, I think they look cool, but a lot of the times it's like you can name one member in the band who looks sick, and then everybody else is just some bearded guy. And it's like, that sucks, dude. And I hate looking at, it's like, I don't know how many times I have to look at a music video of a band and everybody's wearing a fucking t-shirt. It's like a t-shirt. Like you couldn't like try to do something else. So
the band shirt and camo shorts, you know.
It's so
I
fucked.
have to agree though, because because it's difficult to have those conversations, because then people are like, well, you're talking about only appearance. But as much as you want to deny it, it does matter. And there's a reason why we had Mitch and his band was as big as it was. I'm not saying it was only that. He's a super sick performer and vocalist and everything. I'm still amazed by that person, but look at him. Like,
he looks fucking awesome.
If someone could look like deathcore, if deathcore was a person, it would probably be Mitch Locker. Like, it was just exactly what you wanted. And I don't know. I feel like it matters, because even my other favorite vocalists, Ricky Hoover and Suffocate and all these, they all look cool as hell. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of it. If you ask me, but like, I'm not saying
I think of Image all the time too, like in weird ways. Like, I feel like Mitch's, I mean, he had like a sort of outfit, like that grayish, like destroyed wife beater, the fucking wet hair, the super skinny jeans. Like, obviously it's different fashion than I would choose, but it was like a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely, like, you would see it and it was like, that's like, he looks like
thing.
It was his thing too. It was something that was, you could pick him out and he would wear that. And, you know, I could pick out a bunch of other vocalists at the time that did things, but I don't know. That was a thing where I was even thinking, like, for this record, because this record to an extent has a pretty small backstory concept, but it was like, that was another thing where I worked out a lot before the music videos to make sure that I looked like how I sounded. And I want to wear all the makeup that I usually wear, because when I listen to the record, it's not someone that just looks like he works at fucking Whole Foods. It's someone that's like fucking deranged. Like, it's not like some fucking, you know what I mean? I'm not going to show up to the fucking music video looking like everybody else.
No, but first of all, you succeeded at that. I can promise that. Second of all, like, it does matter. And I'm glad I'm hearing that, because it's kind of the mindset that people don't want to have, because they're like, no, but it's music and everything. It does matter. And at the end of the day, when people are going to watch, sometimes they don't realize, they cannot pinpoint, oh, it's because of that. But in their brain, still, it does matter. Like, and if we compare deathcore, you know, we were talking about the fact that deathcore was more scary maybe back then as it is now. So if you watch a horror movie, if the villain, or like you know what I mean? Like, if it's not, you know, real, if it doesn't feel like that person, it fits the character, you're going to lose interest. You won't be into the movie. So, like, it's weird to compare a movie maybe, but it's the same thing with music. You need to look the part, to me, to like, to be like, oh, you know, like, that's that person. So.
It has to be, I don't know the word right now. I'm like blanking, but it has to fit. It has to be, I can't fucking think of the word.
It's got to have some continuity. Or
like it's got to feel real. Like, if it doesn't feel real, it's got to be convincing. That's the word I want to think.
There it is. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, some bands did it great. Like, I feel like Sworn In did it great. Like, I definitely, at the time, I was like, this guy, the lyrics make sense to this. And there's plenty of deathcore bands that don't dress. I'm not saying everybody needs to shave their fucking eyebrows, wear contacts, and wear makeup and go to the gym. That doesn't fit for everybody. You know what I mean? And there's plenty of bands like Slaughter to Prevail. That dude looks convincing as fuck. Like, whatever the fuck he does, he's fucking terrifying looking, and it makes sense what he's saying and what he's doing on stage. It's convincing. Mitch was convincing. If you've seen the 3 or 4 videos of Brendan and Ryan, very fucking convincing. I don't know if you've seen those fucking, where he's doing all these weird hand movements and shit, and he's fucking, all that shit is convincing. And I feel like it's real, and I feel like there's some like real power behind it. But yeah, there's a lot of bands where it's like they step on stage and I'm like, I'm not convinced. Like, I'm not, whatever this is, I'm not convinced. I don't think you're gonna beat the shit out of anybody. I actually think you're probably nice. So
and it doesn't have, just to make it very clear also, it doesn't have to be like, I don't know, like, it can be different. Like, if I take Immure, right? Frankie was more of a jacket cap, but it was working for him. It was cool 100%. And it was his thing. So what I mean is, like, it doesn't mean to be like the Mitch, like, obviously you can tell my personal influence, it's pretty obvious, but like, it's, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be that. Like, it can be completely different, as much as you own your thing, because it needs to be, the word I always use in my videos on my channel is like, it needs to be memorable. People need to, like, when they think about you, they have something pops up that, oh yeah, it's like this dude. Because if you're just, you know what I mean? Like if you're just somebody I could, you know, do the groceries and see, it's like, to me, the image of like this crazy person like Brandon or like somebody, like it's kind of, you know, it's breaking that vision that people have. So it does matter, even if people don't want to admit it.
Yeah, it has to all tie into something, in my opinion. Like, it has to be a full picture. And I feel like a lot of bands have pulled it off perfectly. I feel like some bands haven't pulled it off at all. But that's also just my influence and what I feel like from my perspective of music. And I guess like growing up, what bands I liked. And a lot of bands that I liked, like to say an offshoot band, is like fucking Interpol or The Cure. It's like these bands, like, I think of Interpol and immediately I have this image in my head, all these dudes wearing like these black suits, the Red Album, everything makes sense. Fucking The Cure, everything makes sense. I'm looking and I can see everything. But it's like, there's some bands where it's just like, I think about the vocalist or something and I hate that. It's like, but even then I'm not even thinking about like really how they're looking, because it doesn't look like the record that has like all these fucking murder tools or whatever the fuck it has on it. It's just some dude with a beard. And it's like, I don't know. I like when it has the full picture, because I think the full picture is sick.
And like, speaking of full picture, like I love the new single, the music video that very clearly was thought with the album artwork, you know, with the same kind of like tools, the very white, like kind of backdrop to it with the white background for the, I love when things are like conceptual too, right? Like when there's like something more to it, and it really, one thing ties into the other. You really go into a band's like world, right? It's more than just
more of a universe type thing, instead of just being like, oh, here's an artwork. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of tell when a band is just like, okay, so let's,
right, it's an afterthought.
Like
it's just, we're at the point where we need to buy artwork. Let's get this pre-made design someone did type of thing.
So like another thing too, a freaking artwork is extremely important. Like we mentioned the Chelsea Green EP, it's engraved in my brain. This image, like, it's so cool. It's there. Infinite Debt, I still like it. I have like kind of the image, but like I cannot like emphasize that enough. There's so many forgettable, just, you know, oh, let's put, you know, kind of a thing burning and like a zombie, like you see all the same thing. That's another very important thing. Like your music, for some people, maybe they won't see the video. Maybe they're just going to come across like your music like that. So that's the image they get, right? Sometimes for people, they didn't see you, they didn't see the video, nothing. And that's going to be their image. It needs to match what you do, and it needs to be memorable as well.
No, I completely agree. And that's why like this record, super hands-on for me. Like all the pictures on the album I took myself. I bought all those tools. I bought the fake teeth. It was all me doing that. The videos, I sit with Bobby. The last video, it almost like can't come out. Like it was like we finished it at 5 p.m. and released it at like 7. Like it has to be like, it has to make sense, or to me, it's like not even worth it. Like it needs to be a part of the full picture, because I want people to like look back on a certain record, because I feel like music to me is like art. You know what I mean? It's like a big piece of art, and it's like I want people to look back on whatever art that I've done and be like, holy shit, that, like, you know, if you look at the booklet of the record, it references the books that the character read in the story under the lyrics, and so like there's everything is like so meticulous, like. And I'm taking influences from horror movies and this, that, and the other. There's like specific lines that I circle in the lyrics. It's supposed to look exactly how it sounds. And it has references, obviously, to a lot of things. Like I referenced like the very white and red thing is super influenced by fucking Bring Me the Horizon's Suicide Season. Like that was a huge inspiration of like, I remember looking at that record.
The teeth in the music video as well.
The teeth from Pray for Plagues.
Yeah.
Suicide Silence. I think the record literally behind you, that record and the insert had like kind of like these murdery things that I was really influenced by too. Antichrist Superstar by Marilyn Manson. Like I really loved the booklet for that. And it's like, I put all these things together into this fucking blender, and I try to just make it make sense and just make it, as creative as possible and expansive. Like, so like if you buy a CD, you can look through it and actually feel like you're in whatever character's mind and you feel it. Like it's sus. It looks fucking sus. The artwork looks fucking sus, but it's not sus in the terms of like, you know, Infinite Death or whatever. Like that artwork is just like some metal artwork. It's sus and it feels like very like Manhunt. It feels like very like Saw. And that's what I kind of like also tie in with the movie stuff is like that type of shit.
Yeah, so it makes a big difference as well, because it's not like if someone is like, hey man, you're making music, it's not just like somebody who's putting some lyrics and he's in a band, it's just like, oh, it's cool, I'm gonna scream. It's like every single thing you do, like it's such a big creative thing. Like you're thinking about every single aspect. Like what I'm hearing is that there's a part of you in every single of it, basically. You're putting a lot of yourself in. No,
100%. But I feel like that's how music should be. It should be like kind of like an inside into you. Obviously the story is like more of a story. We can get into that, but like,
I'd love to.
There's a lot of
that. Yeah.
There's a lot of like me inspired into the art, but I try to keep it separate because I also like know that like I have music that I want to put out, and I just try to make everything fit in the box. The same with the Requiem has its own world. This has its own world. My stuff has its own world. Like I try to make sure it's like that.
Some sort of, you can put things into buckets at least and kind of keep things separated. Yeah.
But you could tell that I fucking, had my hand in the hat.
So, well, I mean, let's get into it. Like, we'd love you shared a little bit about some of the backstory for some of the lyrics and stuff like that. But do you have anything you can share in terms of like someone on Instagram was asking about like specifically some of the characters that you talked about. Is there anything to share, I guess, within within that?
Yeah. So like, I took inspiration from a bunch of movies and books, and also I think like one of the scariest things to me is people that misinterpret things and use it for like their own, I guess, ideologies and stuff. I think that's like some of the most terrifying shit ever. And for this record, I really wanted to dive into, I guess that like people that read, like books like The Will to Power or 48 Laws of Power, stuff like that. And I wanted to put that, like someone reading a book like that and like feeling like they have to do these things to get power, but like in a serial killer mindset, almost in like, there's like a movie called Creep that I was super inspired by, and Audition is another movie that I was super inspired by for this, Saw. But it was basically somebody like just losing their fucking mind, trying to reach like what they think is like ultimate power. And misinterpreting concepts like that, and
like
just
taking the wrong lessons out of.
Yeah, exactly. Which
out of other
people do that all the time. You know what I mean? They use situations to make themselves feel, I guess, like validated in what they believe. And I feel like you see it all the time with serial killers. They like almost feel like they're doing the right fucking thing.
Yeah,
which is terrifying.
They have a reason that makes sense in their mind. Like they've convinced themselves. Yeah.
So that's basically what the record is about. And that person in his brain reaches ultimate power. So, but the methods that he uses are disgusting. So there you go.
It's first of all very interesting, and I would even say that most people take what they want to take from, like, I don't want to be negative, but it's just how it is. Like people are going to take what served them and their vision. So it's like sometimes there's like big nuances and like a big universe behind it. And like there's a counterpart, but they're like, take this, that applies to me, so I'm okay. So like I feel like it's a big conscience kind of thing. It's more for like to justify certain things. So it becomes very dangerous when it's someone who, with I wouldn't say deranged, but like somebody who does like weird stuff. If he feels like he's right, you're in trouble, So
when you're fucking hacking people up and you feel like it's justified, you're probably on the wrong path.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's the first time I think I hear that specific topic in music and something. Personally, I don't think I super interesting. It's cool.
Yeah.
What's because you talk a bit about world building and how it's different for for your personal stuff, and then also with the Requiem, like how is it for you, I guess, when you sit down to write for different projects? Like, is it, do you have a lot of, do you do some writing for the Requiem as well?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. There's 2 songs on the last record that I almost like fully wrote instrumentally. One of the songs, it's called like The Difference Between You and Me Is I Get the Last Laugh. Fucking longest song title ever. But that song I played guitar, bass on in the studio. But what was the question? I already forgot.
Well, I mean, I'm curious. I'm curious, like if the mindset kind of changes between projects when you're writing for something, like how you kind of approach different projects, and because you said you put things into different buckets. Are you like specifically like sitting down to write for a specific thing, or are you just kind of like riffing around and then, oh, this would fit this band, or like how does the writing process come into play in those regards?
Usually like my brain just works in like these blocks of like, sometimes I'm just in the mood, like I'll only listen to a record for like a month, you know what I mean? Whatever record it is. And whatever record it is, it's like I'm almost like in that mindset, and it's like I have to like feel this out. So it's like usually, yeah, for like a month or 2, like I can only write stuff that sounds like it'd be in the Requiem. There was like when I wrote my solo record that's not even, I need to eventually put it out, I was like only able to write that, like I could not break out of it. But sometimes, yeah, like I could force myself into writing something else 100%. But if it's my own projects, usually I'm just really inspired at the time. And it's like almost all I could think about. Like I remember when I first joined the Requiem, it's like literally I was just so into like writing it. I was like, this needs to be like this. And like the same thing with, you know, what I'm doing for Crucifixion with the image, like the image has to be dialed in like this and this, that, and the other. Cause I get really just into it. Like I have to make it make sense. And I do a lot of fucking research. That's why I actually really like your YouTube channel, because I feel like I do that stuff on my own in general. Just like I will dig to find every fucking video of My Chem. Like I will dig to find every fucking video of Infinite Death Era, Brendan and Ryan, Hotel Ambassador, whatever the fuck, 3 views.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to fucking find that fucking video, and I'm going to, you know, I'm just going to like indulge myself in like this band for whatever specific amount of time. But yeah, I feel like that's how I kind of write music. I'm just in a world for like, you know, a month, and I try to just get as much as I can. Then I'll be like, you know, oh fuck, deathcore is sick, let me listen to this record. And then I'm like, oh, deathcore is sick, let's fucking, you know what I mean? Or emo is sick, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. So it comes in bursts a lot of times, I guess, then, because you're like kind of like you have to be in it type thing.
Definitely, 100%.
I'm super glad to hear that, and thanks for the words for my channel. But I do the exact same thing, by the way. If I do a video about Suicide Silence, the whole week I'm working on it. That's all I'm listening to. That's all because I realized that you can feel if someone is fully in, you know, like authentically, I guess, in the universe of something. So like, I don't want to be like all around, because I listen to so many things, dude. I love, I love like pop punk, like country, whatever. So like, but when I do a video, when it's the week that I'm filming, I need to be in it. When I do research, you know, like I really want to be committed to one thing. So it's cool to hear that you know, you do that with, you know, with music, because it's a very kind of just genuine approach, and it makes it way more real than if it was like, you know, kind of
trying to force something out.
Yeah.
For the sake of a style or whatever.
Yeah.
Even if too, like, because a lot of people would be like, oh, well, if you're only listening to this, you're probably going to accidentally rip it off. I feel like that's also impossible because of how many other things I also have going on in the back of my brain that you just subconsciously think is sick. Like I've probably accidentally put something into the Requiem or my solo stuff or Crucifixion that probably didn't fit in that world, but in my brain, it should have fit in the world. And I just accidentally put it in thinking that it did, you know what I mean? Like there is some like very talky, there's like one song that has like these talky, almost like Marilyn Manson things in one song on the Crucifixion record. And in my brain that fucking worked, but anybody else's brain, they'd be like, fuck that. So
I mean, that's what's always the coolest, I think, right? Is blending different things, right? As opposed to just, you know, and I think when you're an artist and well, I guess a human being in general, you know, and are open to listening to a bunch of different shit. And just by the nature of like growing up, you know, we were talking about earlier how like skate influences, you know, the stuff you do today and stuff like it's like second nature. You know, everything else that's kind of become your baggage just kind of goes on top of whatever you're like currently focused on. Right. Or like,
yeah.
It makes me just realize why I'm vibing so much with Crucifiction and everything. Like you talked about skateboarding, you talked about freaking Infinite Death, your influence, Brandon, everything. I'm just like, okay, it makes a lot of freaking sense. Like the
I got the Infinite Death vinyl right there. Fucking the Wax Festival one.
Yeah. Dude, that new artwork is so sick too.
It's so fucking fire.
So sick.
So sick.
Killed it completely.
If you look on the original art, okay, the fucking Infinite Death is not centered and it actually kills me. Like, I don't know if you've actually looked at the original art. Why the fuck is it not in the center? Like, holy shit. There's actually no reason that's like slightly off.
And it pained me because I always thought when I did my video, I thought it was like my thing that wasn't centered. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no, it's the freaking art. It's
the artwork is not centered.
Yeah. Because it was kind of I was like, is it me? Like, did I? Because sometimes I put like shadows and stuff, so it decals it. I was like, is it me? No, it's the freaking artwork. Actually,
the artwork is off center. Yeah,
it's like just close enough that it you know, if it was like if it was further off, you'd be like, okay, this was intentional. But there's something about this that feels like someone just did an oopsie, like they did exactly. They just fucked up.
The guy just literally forgot. He was just like, you know, whatever. It looks center enough.
Yeah, there it is. But it's cool. And for what it's worth, also the horror thing, I think it's something we mentioned when we actually watched the video on stream. I could be wrong, but I think we talked about the fact that it's more like it gave like horror feel, like horror movie feel, which is something that I think a lot of people are attempting, but it results in kind of more of a theatrical thing. It's hard to explain, but like I think you achieved the you know, it's a compliment, but like you achieved the, I don't want to say creepiness, but you get what I'm saying?
That's
like
fine. That's a good word.
The grossness, whatever, you know, it's raw, it's brutal. Which
is a big part of horror, you know, if you just take the art style of horror, sometimes you lose the scariness of it. But if you have the creepiness and kind of the, you know, the darkness behind, it makes it real at the end of the day.
I agree.
I thought it was cool.
Thank you.
I'd be curious to kind of talk to you a little bit about some of your solo stuff, because the one song is really fucking good. Yeah. But you mentioned a record. You've got this is already done, and you're just kind of sitting on it, or you just got like pre-pros and stuff. And you just got to wrap it up type thing.
It has been done since 2020. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I literally don't know what I am doing. I know what I'm doing is because like the image in my brain is so big, because the standard, I guess, of that genre to my brain has to be so big that like the music video for the song it's been supposed to come out for like 4 years. Just like little things happen where it's not going to come out exactly how I want. And I'm just like, I don't even want to fucking put it out if it doesn't look perfect, if it doesn't sound perfect. So I guess that's the problem with a solo project, is like in my brain, my solo project is like, even if it's not the best, it's like my solo project. So I put the most, I guess, pride in it, but also just stacking so much shit on my plate. You know what I mean? Like doing so much shit. Cause like even this year I've played with so many bands that aren't even my fucking band. You know what I mean? I played with I Saw My Friends of Fire this year. I played with The Haunt this year and toured.
That must have been full circle. That's so sick. I Set My Friends on Fire, right?
So sick. And the funnest part about that is like Matt is the coolest dude, and he did not get his flowers, because that band, in my opinion, is fucking awesome. I love playing with them. It's a great time because that record is so ingrained in my brain. So yeah, that I literally will always play with them. If they ask me, I'm fucking 100% down.
That's another band I need to do on my channel, by the way. I really need to do.
If you need that fucking Matt contact, I'll tell him. I'll tell him to fucking link y'all up or something.
That'd be great, because I fully agree. And not to cut you off, Dom, by the way, but like I really think I think they didn't get half of the credit they deserve. They influenced tons of bands. They're a super huge part of like the MySpace era, MySpace scene, very influential. A lot of bands who were going more in the funny goofiness was inspired by them and what they did, you know, in their videos. So I think they deserve way more credit than what they ended
A lot
up
of people just kind of saw it as like a non-serious joke band, right? When they were like, you know, they were doing the thing that their numbers were huge. Like there was no reason to kind of treat them as such. But it's kind of the perception I think most people from the outside kind of had.
And low key, like thinking about it, that's maybe another reason why I've never thought that a band had to be a 4-piece or whatever in the scene, because they were a 2-piece. Like it was Matt and a Bill, and that was the promos. And I don't think anybody fucking questioned it. But yeah, no, I have a shit ton of fucking respect for them. Also, them being like minorities in music at the time was a huge inspiration to me too. Because like most people were just like these white dudes, and they were, you know, Indian and I don't know, I think Matt's Egyptian. And it was cool seeing people that kind of looked more like me in the music scene. It made me feel like, damn, I could do that too. So that was a super big
like
inspiration.
doing the thing, right? Like I saw them on the Warped Tour. Like they were, you know, they were everywhere, right?
Yeah, so they were fucking sick, dude. I saw them at Warped Tour. Yeah, the merch was fucking sick. The album artwork is fucking sick. Yeah, they were fucking legit.
They're like legendary part. Like if we're talking about like MySpace era, like the scene and everything, they're definitely a big part of that. But
Huge.
It's cool what you mentioned. I didn't even realize, but it's true. They were probably one of the first, you know, culture wise, and it was an important, you know, thing to do. So that's, you know,
Speaking of like kind of full circle too, then I guess like you played that like last Warped Tour, right?
Yeah, I played the last day of the last Warped Tour.
How was that? How were the vibes for that show?
It was fucking crazy. It couldn't have gone better. I mean, it was literally the worst stage ever. I don't even know if the stage was like, I think we were technically on the schedule, but we weren't on like the blimpy error thing that they put on the thing.
Yeah, the billboard.
Yeah, the billboardy thing. But yeah, some guy that was a fan of Bloodbathers, like, I don't know if it was his fucking family member, his dad, or someone he knew, was doing the stage. That was like the smallest stage ever with like the smallest speakers. And they asked us to do it. And we were like, fucking, yeah, we submitted it. We got it. And we showed up, and the stage honestly was dead the whole day. There was nobody there. And we had a shit ton of hype in South Florida, just knowing people and stuff. And when we started like setting up, you could tell like people were coming up. Like we had friends also holding signs like, yo, go to the corner stage, blah, blah, blah. And luckily the stage was in front of the amphitheater and all the food and all the bathrooms. So we blocked off everything. Like the whole walkway was blocked with our people.
You had to walk by the stage to,
and nobody
like,
wanted to walk by because everybody was moshing their fucking ass off. So it was sick. We ended up playing to like 300 people. Which is probably like more than some of the people that were actually like on stage on some of the actual stages. And yeah, it was a great fucking time. That was like a core memory for me too. Like that is like unforgettable day, like good and bad, but mostly good. Like it was just holy shit. We played fucking Warped Tour.
Yeah. That it just so happened that, you know, that was it, you know, this like it Warped Tour no more. Like it was already dead, but you know, there was no show after that. Like,
which is crazy to fucking think about, that Warped Tour is still not a thing, because that was such a huge part of my fucking life growing up. Like going to Warped Tour, it was like, it was the only thing you would look forward to in the summer.
Yeah.
In today's scene, like with all the revival stuff going on,
I thought it would be
it's criminal that there isn't something like, if not Warped Tour, something like Warped Tour that happens like in 2025.
It would
like
work
it's mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
it's not a question. It would work like now, like instantly, because us older would be there, but also young people. Like, how many comments did I see about, I wish I could have seen Warped Tour, like younger people being like, I wish I could have been there. They would release it right now, and I'm telling you, it would work everywhere. Like
100%. They would have to probably change like a couple things. Like they could probably put a little less bands, and they could probably, add like more like, I don't know, like SoundCloudy rap or something on the side. They've always had weird things on Warped Tour though. Like it wasn't always
it's changed
just
year over year too, right? It used to be more punk, and then it was less. Sometimes deathcore kind of went on board at some point.
There was a fucking 2010. 2010 was a fucking deathcore year at Warped Tour. But I think they would just have to adjust a little bit here and there. But I feel bad for kids growing up in this music scene that don't have Warped Tour, because it was such an integral part of like my summer. But yeah, Warped Tour good. I hope it comes back.
That would be great, because honestly, I would have bet that it would be back by now with all these, because it's not, we're talking about deathcore. It's not only deathcore. Pop punk is back. Emo is back. Like everything is back. The only thing that might not be back is, you remember back then we would have like solo acoustic, like Never Shop Never, stuff like that. I didn't see that specifically.
People would still show up for it, I'm
they
sure.
Probably, I mean, one of my like kind of like internet friends, he was in some, I forgot what it was called. His name is Johnny Gilbert. I know he does like acoustic-y stuff, and he's fucking huge. So I feel like he definitely get like a little spot.
And he's good.
Yeah, no, there's everything for everybody. So I feel like some people will be at the fucking acoustic tent. But
you would just need to do like a healthy dose of like nostalgia and newer bands, right? Like it'd be so sick. Like and the older bands, like the throwbacks, like do like the full album sets, from back in the days and stuff. Don't have them play their new stuff. No one gives a shit. Like have them play the old shit, have them play the classics, and then have some newer bands too. Like, dude, it would be so sick, man. Like we've seen, when we were young, like the hype around something like that. And to your point, to me, that's overboard. Like that's too much. Like scale it back. Like make it make sense for a touring thing. And even if it's like, I don't know, like a 2-week thing, across the US, like
it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing. And I don't see why bands wouldn't be on board. I don't see how like fans would show up for sure. Like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I understand why it died off, but there's no better time than now to have it way more poppin' than it was when it died.
Yeah, but like, things were kind of dying off, period, though.
Like,
they were. Take a look in music, like deathcore was taking like Mitch passing everything. So like when, like, I know it was years later, but like the scene wasn't what it was when it kind of died.
They weren't selling tickets anymore. That was the issue with Warped Tour, but
right now,
like
imagine just the announcement. Imagine if they would just do like a little teaser, and it would be like Vans Warped Tour, for example, like 2025 or 2026, and you would see the lineup. I swear it would break the internet, I think, with people being like, it's back, tons of people. I would honestly do a video just about that. I would be like, it's back, it's so sick. So I think by the way, you have cool friends. You just mentioned that you, Johnny Gilbert, you mentioned Jamie Forrell before. I'm just like, you're talking about these people. I'm like, this dude, like, he's connected. That's great.
I know a couple of people. I don't know how, but just life works that way. But I think Warped Tour, I think ending it at the time it did made sense, because the scene was just fucking dead. But I think now, definitely, if you include some like hardcore bands, if you include some like maybe rapper people, I think it's time. I mean, I don't know who the fuck would do it, but I'll double set the fucker if they want the Requiem and Crucifixion. Hey, shit.
Let's go.
I'll do 2 sets. I don't give a fuck.
But I'm at this point where, to me, it's impossible that it wouldn't work. Like, just impossible that it wouldn't work.
Dude, it was partially a money thing. Like, man, we're all 35 now. It's chill. Like, charge $300 a ticket. It's still gonna sell. Like, whatever, man.
We're not doing 300. We're bringing back, because I think what they did also was like they weren't giving bands like that big of a guarantee. It was like doing Warped Tour was like a promo thing for you. You also sold a shit ton of merch. But I like that. I like that it was cheap as fuck. I mean, obviously bands should get paid more, but like, I think everybody would be on board if it's Warped Tour, because it is such a fucking huge thing that you'd have to be an idiot to not. And imagine, the friends that you would make on that tour, you're touring with every fucking band. Like, that sounds like a fucking ball to me, even though it's hot as fuck. But, I live in South Florida, so I'm fucking used to it.
Used to it,
And you never know also, because I feel like we're, like, you are a good example of that. Like, you can do different kinds of music and stuff. So sometimes you go, for example, you're on Warped Tour with your deathcore band, but let's say you have like different projects on the side. It's so there's such a big variety in Warped Tour. You never know who you're gonna meet. Maybe it's gonna be for another project, other things. So like everybody, it's kind of a win-win kind of thing for everyone.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, merch sales alone, right? Like no one was doing it for the guarantee, like for sure.
Yeah.
You know, that was never a thing. So
I agree.
I would go there with a few $100 just for the merch because I know myself. Like that would be me. Like just like I would.
That'll get you 2 T-shirts in this economy.
Probably.
Yeah, right, fucking
like socks maybe.
I still can't believe shirts are that expensive now. I don't even know how to properly price fucking things anymore. I feel like if I put up a shirt for like $25, everybody's gonna be like, dude, holy shit, $25. It's like, dude, I used to sell shirts for fucking $8. Anymore. Oh, our merch is cheap. Fucking Crucifixion on the rise. It's fucking $25, double print. Yeah.
You rarely get under the slightly bigger tours. It's $50 T-shirts now in person. So
well, I think you have to headliner match like when you go on tours, but I mean,
the headliner's T-shirt isn't worth more. You know, it's the same fucking T-shirt. Like I get it, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, I have maybe just like a few maybe a slightly more rapid fire questions if you don't mind before letting you go. We had some questions coming in from the Instagram post, and then I had someone personally ask me to ask you something. So, what do you do when you get writer's block, and what are your favorite vegan recipes?
Okay. Oh, wow. Writer's block. Oof. What do I do when I get writer's block? Probably just try to focus on something else, like making art, going to the gym, just anything that's like creative that's not music. But yeah, getting writer's block, I don't really know because I don't get it, I guess, that much. But usually if I get writer's block, it's something like pretty big going on that I have to just deal with. And then when I'm done dealing with it, usually I can just dive right in. Vegan recipes. I'm really into like fitness right now, or at least try to be. So my recipes you are not going to want because they're just plain as shit. Every day I eat.
Would be surprised.
Yeah, every day I eat.
You'd be surprised with this guy.
What I'm hearing, I'm the most boring person. I'm going to tell you after, but you might be surprised.
Brown rice, black beans, broccoli as one meal, a whole thing of tofu with a little bit of barbecue sauce, another meal, like fucking Light Life soy fucking hot dogs, bananas, apples, oranges, fucking
so that's what you eat. What's your favorite though?
What if I'm like, I'm not making it though because I fucking hate cooking.
Sure.
I think cooking is
you can order any vegan food, I guess, or any kind of vegan dish. What's it gonna be?
Chipotle, Bole, or Beyond Burger. Like one of those three. Those are like Beyond Burger you can't go wrong with. Chipotle, perfect on tour. Bole, kind of a new addition of my life. So fucking good.
I don't know what that is. What is that a chain? Is that
I guess it's like a newer
brand?
chain. It's like Chipotle. It's just like a bowl type thing. But yeah, I had it like a week ago when I was like not doing well, and I was like, oh, I instantly feel better just eating this fucking food. It was so fucking good.
Which rarely happens after eating food.
Yeah, right.
Fast food, no less.
Yeah, but it's like healthy fast food. Like everything I don't even think I could eat like just shit food. Like I don't even think this is a whole thing that I can get into that I can't believe like adults like eat candy. It's just fucking insane to me. Or like that, like I see a grown ass man drinking like a non-diet Coke. It's just like, holy shit, that's crazy to me. Cause like if I just ate anything like that, I'd feel fucking awful. But
it's a mindset thing though, because like,
some people love living in the eternal void. The eternal slump.
Yeah,
because honestly, I relate a lot with what you said, and not to make this about me, I'm gonna say it real quick, but like I said, I was boring with food. I do one meal a day, so I only need I fast the whole day. I eat just one meal. I eliminated everything processed is gone. Like I don't eat chocolate, stuff like that, whatever. My whole food, I'm not vegan though. Like I eat it's meat, fish, and eggs basically, and I always like kind of swap. And I have beans as well. Beans are underrated, by the way. Like it's like
fiber.
It's very good, super healthy. And and nuts, fruits, vegetable. That's my whole thing. And I agree with you. Like if I don't when you switch, you don't want to go back to eating like crap.
Yeah, because you feel like fucking shit. And also, like, I just don't, maybe my taste buds are broken from like eating too good now, but I can't even eat a fucking normal candy bar. I'd throw up. Like, it's too much sugar, it's too much salt. And I feel like, yeah, if I'm going to eat, if I want like a Kit Kat or like a Reese's bar or something, I'll get a Cliff Builders protein bar. And yeah, the macros aren't perfect, but like I'll eat that and I feel like I ate like a fucking candy bar. So that's how I live. Like, but I don't really like cheat on my diet because I don't think like eating Chipotle to me and I get like a healthier option to me is like I'm cheating, and it's not even cheating because it's good. It's like not even bad for you. So
it cheat kind of, but it's not.
It's not really. It's not terrible. It's not fucking McDonald's, you know.
No,
right. And I mean, it depends what you get at Chipotle, I guess. Also,
yeah. Okay.
What you're getting,
my order is
right.
My order is going to be like brown rice, black beans, vegetables, the tofu, and the tomatoes. That's it. You know.
But I know some people that feel like shit for sure after Chipotle, but that's solely based on what they're getting.
Sour cream and fucking cheese in a bowl. You know, of course, it's going to make them feel terrible.
Yeah, always depends.
Yeah.
Are there ambitions to make Crucifixion a full-time band with tours, etc.? And if so, which artists would you want to tour with?
Wow, big question.
I guess it's up to just the fans. Like, it's up to like if the demand is that big. I want to play shows. I want to tour, but you know, the demand has to be fucking there. But if it is there, I mean, off the dome, like Spite would be fucking sick. Like that's a band that I think is like realistic and would be sick. I think Girl of Glass is sick too. I would tour with it, but like bigger bands, like, yeah, probably just the OGs. I think Whitechapel would be like my fucking biggest goal because I still think Phil is like the best right now and kind of always has been. He's the GOAT. So I think they would be a sick fucking tour. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm probably still going to release music. I don't know. I guess it's all up in the air, but if people really fuck with it, hopefully it fucking happens. I want a full lineup, but I'm not trying to get any stragglers. I want like people that are like really into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have kind of and I know dumb, like you
always, you're good.
Good question, but it's kind of a follow-up question because, you know, you're really much prepared for every aspect of your music, right? Like everything, you think about everything. I'm guessing stage presence is going to be something very important. Let's say you tour with Crucifixion. I'm guessing it's going to be a big thing, right? Your stage presence. Okay.
There's like a huge thing that I want to do with that in general. Like I'll leak one of the things. I don't want to be like that band that says like, thank you and doing like, dude, I'm talking about killing someone. Like, I'm not going to be like, thanks guys. Like we have merch by the like fuck you. Like go on the fucking stage. Yeah. I'm not saying shit in between the songs. If I do, it's talking shit. And I'm not going to say go to the fucking merch because you know where the fucking merch table is. Everybody fucking walked past it. So that's like one of the biggest things is I fucking hate deathcore bands that they're finishing doing like some crazy fucking vocals and they're like, thank you. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't, so that's one big thing that I'm not doing. Yeah. And if there is like tours or shows coming up, I mean, just hit the gym as hard as I can, wear crazy makeup, probably just like fucking make myself bleed, like something crazy for sure.
Hell yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
All right.
Talk to us about how crazy tours passing through Revolution Live were. Specifically for today, Whitechapel show.
What
at
the
Revolution
fuck?
Live.
Who the fuck told you this fucking shit? That was one of my first big shows. I saw it was 2011. I think it might have been December of 2011. I must have been 14 or 13. I don't know, something like that. And that was just fucking crazy, dude. That was the show that I was like, holy fuck, I want to do this. It was the most packed I've ever seen that fucking venue. There was mosh pits on the way to the mosh pit. And this venue is just, it's like a pit and then stairs and then side area. In the side area, there was a mosh pit. For today, dude, shouts out God because they're fucking riding for God because that shit is crazy, dude. Respect to how much they fucking love Jesus because that shit is fire. The preachy shit sucked, but that's a built-in piss break, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, seeing them was fucking awesome. But then seeing, the Devil Wears Prada and Whitechapel, that's just the craziest fucking lineup ever. And it's gone full circle again because the person that like manages Crucifixion at Rise is Chris Ruby from the Devil Wears Prada. So yeah, everything in my life is just very strange. And I'm just like, I don't, yeah, no, he works at Rise now, and he's the one that, I don't know if he's the one that selected Bloodbather, but he's the one that handles all the Crucifixion stuff with me. I just text him for like everything. So
okay, that's wild. That's
I was trying to convince him to join Crucifixion.
Dude, that would be, well, you're kind of far from the Divorce Preda, even if I love the Divorce Preda in terms of like music and stuff like that. Maybe a little more.
Yeah, but
man, that zombie.
But he would get it. He would get it.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking close. That shit was fucking banging. So
it was cool. But like, that's what, while we're here, we're talking about Divorce Preda real quick. I missed the original lineup with their drummer and the keyboard player. Like, I know it's like, it was part of it. The keyboard player going crazy and all that.
Crazy as fuck for the three. He'd play 3 notes and just run somewhere else. Yeah. So sick. Just
moving and everything. This Divorce Preda, you know, era influenced our complete generation, I feel like.
100%. So. Yeah, no, and I mean, it's cool. It's cool as fuck. Like when I was a kid, I was super into them and into really just Rise Records bands.
Yep.
And I guess I have just appreciation for the fact that I can even do this. You know what I mean? Not many people can do this. Is it an easy job? Fuck no. Is it a fucking lucrative job? Fuck no. But, you know, when I was a kid, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I still do think that right now. So I have like only appreciation for just the fact that I'm even on podcasts talking about music and stuff, because I'm as much as a fan of music as fucking everybody that's a fan of my music. So I think it's fucking sick.
Awesome. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I mean, dude, you kind of hook, line, and sinkered that one. I think that's a great way to kind of
really
to end the show, man. Dude, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We're both like really fucking excited for everything that you're doing with Crucifixion. Yeah. So I'm really much looking forward to the rest of the album. Let us know what you've got going on, and then I guess specifically the album's going to eventually come out. I'm not sure the exact date.
The album comes out. Let us
know what's going on in your world.
The album comes out on October 11th. We have a single that's dropping, I think, in less than 30 days. I could just say it. I don't care. It's called VHS. It has Darius from Spite. So it's going to be fucking sick. That comes out, I think, 29, 30 days. I don't even know exactly what day. And then the full record, it's called Will to Power. I think we have 2 more music videos that we're dropping, and I'll have some more merch that I'm going to post kind of soon. The Requiem is going to write some more music soon. We're still kind of riding off the last record, and solo music eventually.
TBD. Yeah.
when I stop being a fucking person that does 400 things at the same time.
All right. Well, dude, thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you so much again for doing this. This was really cool, and we'll keep in touch, man. Looking forward to everything you've got going, man.
100%. And success to y'all's way, because it's going to come. It's fucking sick.
Thanks,
dude. Thank you, man. Appreciate that, dude.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good night, man.
All right. Bye.